and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And in this episode, we're going to find out who'd win in a fight between the Scarlet Knight, Batwoman, who is Batman's cousin, against Black Cat, who is a Spider-Man villain and sometimes love interest.
Yeah, we're doing this episode now as a tie-in to our next episode, which will be a review of Batman The Long Halloween, which has a ton of characters, but evidently we've done Duel episodes with all of them. So looking for someone new to do a Duel episode with in the Bat family, and we haven't done Batwoman yet. So
yeah, and she'll be going up against the Black Cat, which is kind of like Halloween themed because Black Cat's Halloween, you know, it works. Go with us on this.
Yeah, Black Cat, Halloween, The Long Halloween, we're trying. It's a reach, we know, but I'm still looking forward to it.
Before we compile their statistics and run simulations on these two characters to find out who would win, we're going to talk about the comic book movie news to come out in the past week, of which we only have one news item, and that was the first set photos of Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne and Sasha Calle as Supergirl in the Flash movie.
As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic.
And it's that time again where we talk about Patreon. Guys, you know we've been talking about this for a while. We're trying to do a big push for our Patreon because in less than a month now, Jonathan and I will have to face the decision as to whether or not to put this show behind a paywall. Apple Podcasts and Spotify are providing this show the opportunity to make money. But we don't want to go through them. We would rather go through you guys if we are to monetize this show. So we're asking you guys, please sign up for our Patreon and get our bonus perks, including
monthly movie watch-alongs, the first of which we will be doing this upcoming weekend. We also have a considerable backlog of old Duel results between random characters like Sonic the Hedgehog versus Kirby and Link versus Cloud. You get access to all of that.
Yeah, you also get a blooper reel every month, so that bonus content is just at the $2 tier. At the $10 tier, you get a Marvel vs. DC pin set that Jonathan and I have created every other month. And at the $18 tier, you get to become an executive producer of this show and work with Jonathan and I on the content that we provide on this show. And one of the things that we're going to be implementing is a monthly Discord voice chat with our executive producers to discuss the show. So there's a lot to look forward to no matter which tier that you're a part of. As always, visit patreon.com/dynamicduel to sign up, be a hero, help save this show from costing you money to listen to.
Yeah, pay for bonus content instead. Keep the show free. Also, just a quick heads up before we get to the no prize, I, Johnny DC, will be out of town for the next month in a new recording space, so the sound might come out a little bit differently, but it's only for a month. Fair warning.
We've been warned. And with that out of the way,
quick, to the no prize. So No Prize is an award that Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on social media that I personally draw for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
And last week's question was, what Marvel or DC film subtitle interested you the most when you first heard it, and why? And that was coming off of the news of the Aquaman sequel title, Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. We got a lot of great answers for this one. Let's go ahead and run down our honorable mentions as well as the no prize winner. Our first honorable mention goes to Miggy Metangian, who said,
"Hey guys, this is Miggy Metangian, and the movie subtitle that interested me the most when I first heard it is Flashpoint Paradox. I first learned about the movie before I started really getting into comics, and it intrigued me because it meant that time travel and the Flash were both major aspects of the story."
Yeah, of course, the full title of the film was Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox, and it was the first film to kick off DC's new animated movie universe, which went all the way through up until Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. It was a fantastic run of animated films, and right when we heard that they were making a Flashpoint movie, we knew things were going to change, because in the comics, after Flashpoint was the New 52, and that was such a huge shakeup and disruptive event in the comic book industry. And thank goodness it was like a pretty faithful adaptation. It was a great film.
Yeah, definitely one of the better DC animated movies that we've ever reviewed. Way up there. Great movie and great answer. Our next honorable mention goes to Shane Havizin, who said,
"What's up, Johnny and Joe? It's Shane here. And the subtitle that interested me the most was Spider-Man Homecoming. Because, to my knowledge, at that point, because Spider-Man was a hometown hero. Like, what comic that wasn't a team-up comic or anything like that, multiversal, was he not in New York? So I kind of think that Marvel thought about that before making the title of the movie Spider-Man Homecoming.
And it looks like he was cut off there, though. But I think Shane was saying that the title Homecoming implied that Spider-Man was elsewhere outside of New York and then coming to New York. It was certainly a confusing title, and I remember we discussed that when we first heard that the movie was going to be called Spider-Man Homecoming on this podcast.
I really wish they would drop the whole home thing.
I mean, it's not going to happen now, with No Way Home coming out later in theaters this year. But Homecoming, of course, was in reference to the idea that Spider-Man was coming home to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as opposed to being in his own universe within Sony Pictures. And it was also a reference to the high school dance of the same name. So there were a lot of layers to it. I understand why they went with Homecoming for that movie. I'm still not sure why they stuck with the word home for the subsequent films, but maybe it tracked well or something, or they were just trying to provide some kind of sense of cohesion among the films. I don't know.
Now we know all the different layers it works with, but at the time when it was first announced, yeah, it was definitely intriguing.
Our final honorable mention goes to AJ Dunkerley, who said,
What's up, guys? It's AJ Dunkerley. The subtitle for a Marvel/DC movie is meant to be The Dark Knight. I feel that with Batman Begins, we got a very small glimpse of how Batman operates and how his career started, but I feel like Dark Knight really defined him as a character, and, I'm really excited to see people call him The Dark Knight, although they didn't, but, they're still good movie along now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say The Dark Knight was a subtitle, but it was fascinating to see that we were going to get a Batman movie without the name Batman in the title to market it. It was kind of cool to have a film starring a character that's so iconic, he's known by his nickname.
Yeah, same thing with The Man of Steel.
Yeah, exactly. And The Dark Knight as a title was so successful, the film was so good, they of course used it in its sequel, The Dark Knight Rises.
I still think they should have called it The Dark Knight Returns, though, in homage to that popular miniseries by Frank Miller.
Who knows, maybe they'll adapt that into a live-action feature-length film or film series. So save that title for that adaptation. Before we announce the winner of this week's No Prize, we want to give a quick shout-out to the others who took the time to send in an answer. Matt Estes and Eli Morehouse. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks. But the winner of this week's No Prize goes to Jacob Bell, who said,
Hey guys, this is Jacob Bell. I have to say that a subtitle that interests me the most, even though we haven't seen the movie yet, is definitely Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I wasn't an enormous fan of the first Doctor Strange movie, but I thought he was awesome in Infinity War. And just that the Multiverse of Madness, there's just, I think, a lot of stuff that could happen with that. I think it sounds cool. I'm just really, really stoked about it. So Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Now, this answer won because I kind of have to agree. As far as subtitles goes, it doesn't get more provocative and strange and interesting than Multiverse of Madness. We learned this title, of course, a couple of years ago at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was fascinating because it opened up a door to infinite possibility, really.
Yeah, of like all of Marvel's subtitles, I guess this is definitely the most mind-blowing. Just hearing the fact that they're going to explore the concept of a multiverse opens up so much possibility, but also so much rage from me, because I felt like Marvel was stealing DC's multiverse angle, which they are.
I mean, a multiverse exists within Marvel as well, so, not really. But I'm really excited about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. Between Loki, Spider-Man No Way Home, and the upcoming Doctor Strange sequel, I think we're going to get a lot of new, great worlds to explore within Marvel.
I'd like to think that DC is Earth 1 and Marvel is just Earth 616.
Oh, so the higher you get, the better you get, incrementally?
Like the worse you get.
No, I don't think so.
Like on a scale of 1 to 616, like 616 being the worst.
Well, the MCU is not Marvel 616. That's the comic book universe.
Does the MCU have its own number designation?
Yes, it's Earth 199,999.
Oh, see, that's way higher than 616.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's the best. It's the greatest.
Ugh. Why that number? I don't get it. I don't get their number.
Who knows, man? Who knows? I don't get those numbers either. But it is what it is.
Congrats once again to Jacob Bell. You win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week.
And now that that's done,
on to the news. Okay, so earlier this month, the director of the upcoming Flash movie, Andy Muschietti, has been teasing on his social media accounts the chest logos on the costumes of the superheroes that will be appearing in The Flash. starting with Michael Keaton's Batman. The classic Batman suit from the Tim Burton films. It was so cool to see that again.
Yeah, there was some blood splatter on it.
Yeah, it was almost like Watchmen. It was kind of cool. Later on, we got to look at the Flash's logo emblem on his suit, which looked way more high-tech than I thought it would. It doesn't look bad at all, though.
No, it looks very different from the concept art that we got of the costume from last year's DC Fandom. It also looks very different from his costume from the Justice League film.
Yeah.
This version reminds me a lot of like a circuit board, kind of,
exactly.
Which is interesting because, like you said, I've never thought of the Flash as a tech hero. The Speed Force has no tech component to it, so why are they trying to pass off his suit as some kind of gadget?
I mean, the suit did look a little bit gadgety in the Justice League films, and, that did have wires kind of going around it. I think they're just kind of running with that concept, like electricity moves through the circuitry or the wires.
Okay.
It's not a bad concept, I don't think. I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing. But earlier this week, we got a tease of Supergirl's logo, her chest.
I thought it was Superman's logo, I'm not going to lie. I was like, holy crap, Superman's going to be in this movie. And then I got reminded on our Discord that, no, that's Supergirl. And I was like, oh yeah, those aren't pecs.
Nope, those are breasts. And really, it was a tease of the full costume that we got to see thanks to leaked photos from exterior location shooting that's ongoing.
Yeah, we got to see Michael Keaton suited up as Bruce Wayne. He's looking dapper as hell.
It's so cool to see Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne again. It's like he never left the role. You just look at that hairstyle, even if Michael Keaton wasn't playing Batman in this role, I would still be like, that's fucking Bruce Wayne right there.
Yeah. Older Bruce Wayne, because he has the white hair, but still.
Like Dark Knight Returns Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, definitely.
We also got a photo of Ezra Miller on set, and interestingly enough, he's wearing a giant golden ring.
The Flash ring.
Hopefully.
And you think that his outfit is housed within that ring?
That's where it's stored in the comics. My guess is that his suit will sort of materialize on him from that ring. I don't think it's actually going to like pop out like it does in the comics. I think it'll be more like Black Panther or something like that.
Yeah.
It would be so cool to see the ring realized on screen. But the most interesting thing I think we got out of this footage was our first look at Sasha Calle in her full Supergirl costume. Now, I say full, but most of the photos that are out there don't have her cape. There was some blurry leaked footage of her wearing the cape, so we know it's part of the costume.
I do like the design of the costume. The S emblem does seem to be the same one that's on Henry Cavill's outfit, along with the suit texture. Is very similar to the one that he wore. It does have a different design, though, in that the top half of the S shield is covered in red, and the top half of her suit.
The S shield is actually not the same exact as Henry Cavill's Man of Steel logo. No, the tail end of the S does not go up that high on Henry Cavill's version. But like Henry Cavill's version, it does have like this Kryptonian script that goes across it. I'm not sure what it says, but it looks really cool.
And she looks pretty good in the costume, I think. It's interesting that she's a brunette as opposed to a blonde, but of course this is an other dimensional version of Supergirl.
Well, is it? That's what I'm wondering, and that's what I've been wondering ever since we saw the logo for Supergirl on Andy Muschietti's social media. The movie was originally called Flashpoint, and everyone thought that was the storyline it was going to adapt. But since then, it seems more and more like this will be more like Crisis on Infinite Earths, with Flash essentially just exploring the multiverse. That said, Sasha Calle's logo is so close to Henry Cavill's, you have to wonder if that's intentional. If this Supergirl is a part of the DCEU or a part of another universe. We don't know.
I think she's part of a universe where Superman came to Earth with a flesh cave instead of a wrinkle pouch. And is
what the heck? Are we 7 here? What is going on?
With a vagina instead of a penis. And is Supergirl instead of Superman.
So it's just like a gender-bent version? There actually is an Earth in the DC multiverse where like all the men are women and all the women are men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So you're saying this wouldn't be Kara?
No, it's still Kara. But in the DCEU, Kara never came to Earth. And in this dimension, Kal-El never came to Earth.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
Based off of the design, based off of the haircut, this version of Supergirl actually most resembles Laura Lane Kent from the comics, who is Superman and Lois Lane's daughter from an alternate dimension in the future.
Really?
Yeah, like spot on. Everything down from like the extra red in the costume to the hairstyle, it's exactly her.
Interesting. What do you think about her abs in this costume? Because they look weird as hell.
It's the one part of the costume that I really don't like. I don't understand what they're trying to do there. It doesn't look like abs. It looks like
insect legs.
Exactly. I don't know what it is. It's just weird. Now, I know Henry Cavill had sort of like built-in abs in his costume, even though, let's be honest, he probably didn't need them. But this looks obviously fake and just overdone.
Yeah. I do have to give a quick shout out to John Starosky on the Discord because I asked that question. I was like, what kind of abs are those? And he said, abnormal ones. So he wins the internet for that day. I don't know if we could declare who wins the internet any given day, but for that day, he won the internet.
Definite dad joke just in time for Father's Day. Kudos to you. I think the one thing missing from the costume that I wish was there were red boots. I feel like it's missing a pop of color at the bottom. But at the end of the day, she doesn't have blonde hair. She's not wearing a skirt. This isn't the traditional Supergirl. And I'm just excited to learn more about the film.
Yeah, and it is cool that we are getting this look at the upcoming movie, that we are learning more. There's still a lot to uncover as far as the film's plot goes. Like, we don't even know who the villain is for this movie.
Exactly. And they're filming already.
Yeah, so you think that we would know.
I don't know who the villain will be. And that brings us to our question of the week. Who do you think will be the villain of the Flash movie?
Yeah, who would make sense to you and why? Record your answer at dynamicduel.com by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message can be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media. Be sure to answer before June 26th. But I think that does it for the news for this episode, so let's go ahead and get into our main event, where we find out who would win between Batman's cousin, Batwoman, and Spider-Man's villain/love interest, Black Cat. Alright, Batwoman versus Black Cat. You guys know that we usually like to pit Batman characters against Spider-Man characters because I think there's a lot of through lines between those characters supporting cast. And while Batwoman isn't directly linked to Black Cat, we think that they both have a lot in common in that they bring the stealthy, they bring the sexy, they bring the smarty, and they're both like these femme fatale archetypes. And I just thought it would be fun to say, let's see who would win in a fight between the Bat versus the Cat.
And that's what it comes down to. I'm interested in learning who would win.
For sure, yeah. If you've never listened to one of our Duel episodes before, the way we determine a winner between these two characters is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations using their statistics. Now, a Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling.
In our case, it randomizes statistics along a normal distribution, which is a bell curve, as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters we use are based on the official Marvel Power Grid, and we use that criteria to extrapolate the DC characters' stats. We've included some additional stat categories of our own, such as range, damage potential, versatility, and perception, in order to create a more complete and robust simulation.
Running these 1,000 simulations gives us a percentage of wins for each character, and we declare the one with the higher percentage to be the ultimate victor, considering that they're more likely to win any given battle. No character ever wins 100% of the time. Comics have shown that there's always a way for Batman to defeat Superman, and we feel our method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the comic book stories.
And we use this method because it was the least subjective, most unbiased way to determine who would win. Of course, we were both heavily biased toward our respective allegiances, and instead of debating these matches forever, we just let the math decide for us. So, there's no fan votes here, and no relying on just feats.
Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down each character's histories and abilities before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the 1,000 simulations we run would play out beat for beat.
And I think it's my turn to go first with the backstory of the DC character, so let me tell you all about Batwoman. Now, Kate Kane was the daughter of Gabriel and Jacob Kane, the latter of whom was the brother of Martha Wayne, Batman's mother. Gabriel and Jacob were career military and raised Kate and her twin sister Beth at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. While his daughters were still young, Jacob was promoted to colonel and reassigned to a NATO position in Brussels, where his family traveled with him to live. During Kate and Beth's 12th birthday, they and their mom were kidnapped by a group of terrorists. Jacob led a team of soldiers to rescue his family, but he was only able to save Kate, as Gabrielle was executed in front of the girls prior to his arrival, and Beth was killed during the rescue in the crossfire.
Jeez.
Like her cousin, Bruce Wayne, Kate was traumatized by witnessing the death of family members at a young age. Raised afterward by her father and eventual stepmother, a Gotham heiress and socialite named Catherine, Kate was accepted into the United States Military Academy at West Point, where she excelled in physical fitness and performed academically near the top of her class. It was during this time that she also began her first lesbian relationship with her roommate, Sophia Moore. Though the two were discreet in their relationship, during Kate's senior year, the Academy received an anonymous tip of Kate's homosexuality, which, due to the don't ask, don't tell policy of the time, would result in her expulsion and a dishonorable discharge from the military. Rather than disavow the allegation, Kate admitted she was a lesbian while refusing to out Sophie, and she was forced to leave West Point. When she confronted her father with the news, however, he praised Kate for maintaining her honor and integrity. Directionless, Kate moved to Gotham City, where the wealth provided by her stepmother allowed her to navigate among the city's social elite, despite Kate's now reckless lifestyle of partying and drinking. One night, while driving drunk and speeding, Kate was pulled over by Gotham City police officer Renee Montoya. The two met and began dating, though the relationship did not last long after they had an argument about Kate's lack of direction in life and Renee's secrecy concerning her sexual orientation. A short time after the argument, as Kate was walking home, she was mugged on the city streets. Due to her military training, though, she was able to easily subdue the man and nearly killed him in a rage, but she was stopped by Batman, who took the criminal away. Kate, inspired by Batman, realized she had the resources and capability to fight crime like him. She spent the following year getting sober and preparing for her eventual debut as a vigilante, gathering intel on criminal operations and stealing military equipment from her father. Before she could start her superhero career, however, her father Jacob learned of what she was doing, and he put her into an intense 2-year regiment where she furthered her skills among the top military special ops trainers around the world. When her training was complete, Kate returned to Gotham to find that her father had developed for her a bat suit, along with an ample supply of military gadgetry.
Now, did her father know that his nephew was Batman?
No, he didn't.
So this was all just a coincidence?
Yes, he knew that she was inspired by Batman and wanted to sort of take up that mantle by fighting crime in Gotham City.
Gotcha.
As Batwoman, Kate became an early ally of her former lover, now detective, Renee Montoya, and her mentor, The Question, as they investigated the criminal organization Intergang. The trio discovered that Kate was part of a prophecy by the religion of crime that involved her sacrifice. Intergang eventually kidnapped Kate, unaware of her alter ego, and its leader, Bruno Mannheim, plunged a knife into her chest to sacrifice her to the religion of crime. While Bruno was distracted by Renee, by this time now the new Question, Kate removed the knife from her chest and used it to defeat Bruno. Renee was able to use pseudoderm, a synthetic skin she used to hide her face, to patch Kate's wound, after which Kate took some time to recover. During the final crisis, Batwoman succumbed to the anti-life equation and became one of Darkseid's female Furies alongside Wonder Woman, Catwoman, and Giganta. When Batman sacrificed his life to help stop Darkseid, Nightwing took up his mantle, and Batwoman proved to be a valuable ally in taking down the Religion of Crime's presence in Gotham. After tracking down the new leader of the Religion of Crime, a woman named Alice, who only spoke in quotations from Lewis Carroll's books, Alice kidnapped Batwoman's father, Jacob, and planned on destroying Gotham with an airborne chemical from a hijacked plane. Batwoman was able to board the plane and rescue her father, after which she discovered that Alice was in fact her twin sister, still alive.
Oh.
Batwoman tried to save Alice from falling out of the plane, but as Batwoman held onto her, Alice stabbed her in the wrist, and Batwoman dropped Alice. Alice seemingly fell to her death, though her body was never found. Batwoman was later kidnapped once again by the Religion of Crime and taken to London to be sacrificed at the world's last remaining Lazarus pit. Nightwing rescued her and, despite Batwoman's protests, placed the dead body of Bruce Wayne into the pit. The body turned out to be a clone of Darkseid, however, and a cave-in resulted from the ensuing fight, which buried and paralyzed Batwoman. Nightwing came to her rescue once again, at which point she took the morphine contained in his utility belt and purposely overdosed on it, committing suicide so that he'd put her in the Lazarus pit, resulting in her resurrection and the healing of her injuries. As an additional benefit, since she technically died, the religion of crime stopped pursuing her regarding the prophecy. Later, Batwoman began training her cousin, Bat Kane, to be the young superhero Flamebird, a member of the Teen Titans.
Did you say Bat Kane?
No.
Bat Kane, like Midler?
Yeah, like Bat Midler, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, Bat Kane was the original Batgirl during the Silver Age of comics.
Really?
Yeah, she was the sidekick to Catherine Kane, the original Batwoman.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that Batwoman was a Silver Age character.
Yeah, Kate Kane is sort of like a retcon of that character.
Interesting.
Now, in post-Flashpoint continuity, Bruce Wayne, now Batman once again, recruited Batwoman to help him run a boot camp for aspiring heroes, including Red Robin, Spoiler, Clayface, and Orphan, aka Cassandra Cain, who you can learn more about in our Batgirl vs. X-23 episode. The group of trainees was successful until Clayface was captured and tortured by a villainous group known as the Victim Syndicate, making him aggressive and violent. When all non-lethal attempts were made to stop Clayface's rampage, Batwoman took it upon herself to shoot and kill him with a special rifle that destabilized his matter. Batman and half the team were furious with Batwoman, and she left to form a new short-lived team with Batwing and Azrael known as the Colony. You can learn more about those two characters in their respective Duel episodes. During this time, Batwoman proposed to her then-girlfriend, Maggie Sawyer, captain of the Metropolis Special Crimes Unit, though they never got married and eventually split up. Later, Batwoman rekindled her romance with Renee Montoya as the two took down Black Mask's criminal operations in Atlanta, and, after reconciling with Batman, she helped him retake Wayne Tower after the Joker invaded it during the Joker War. That's her history so far. Now, Batwoman has no superhuman powers or abilities, but in addition to her military combat and firearm training, Kate is also an expert at karate, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, Wing Chun, and more. She's also advanced in parkour, an elite-level gymnast, and she's undergone resistance training for torture and incapacitating agents like tear gas. She's also equipped with various bat gadgets, including razor-sharp batarangs, smoke pellets, and grapple guns, as well as semi-lethal upgrades to her batsuit, such as gloves equipped with taser and flamethrower capabilities. Her cowl also comes with thermal imaging and has anti-flashbang and anti-hypnosis built in. On top of everything else, she's an expert military strategist and has been known to use guns from time to time. That's Batwoman.
So her gloves, you say that they're taser and flamethrowing, so she can shoot like fireballs from her hands?
Yeah, like short-range flames.
That's pretty cool.
She definitely has more suit upgrades than Batman does. She takes a little bit more of a military approach to fighting as opposed to like stealthy ninja.
And how would you describe a military approach?
More weapons. Lots more weapons.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Well, she's gonna need them, because Black Cat is not one to be trifled with. Let me tell you all about Black Cat. Now, Felicia Hardy was born in Queens, New York, to a notorious cat burglar named Walter Hardy. World-renowned for his skills in thievery, Walter taught Felicia from an early age to always strive for greatness in whatever she pursued and never settle for second best. Though authorities eventually imprisoned Walter for his crimes, his lessons stuck, and Felicia grew up to be a confident woman and tremendous athlete, determined to follow in her father's footsteps and surpass him as the world's most extraordinary cat burglar. Now, do you know the difference between a cat burglar and a thief? I learned this today.
I don't.
A cat burglar is someone who actually scales a building to steal something.
Well, that's very specific.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but now I know. And now you know. Felicia was arrested and jailed early on in her thievery career, but her dad's instructor, the Black Fox, soon bailed her out and trained her in how to become a master thief. After becoming a successful cat burglar and amassing a small fortune in stolen goods, Felicia learned that her now elderly father, Walter, was sick and dying in prison. She then set out to perform her greatest break-in yet, breaking Walter out of jail. She donned a black costume and mask and pulled off her father's escape, letting him die peacefully at their family home. During the getaway, Felicia met Spider-Man for the first time, who unsuccessfully tried to stop her plan. Despite being at odds with each other, Felicia had an affinity for Spidey, sensing a kindred spirit. She became infatuated with Spider-Man, in fact, often running into him during her heists, but also teaming up with him to take down foes such as the Maggia crime family to garner his affection. In one instance, Felicia stole a detonator from Dr. Octopus and gave it to Spider-Man, but Doc Ock's henchman gunned her down.
Oh, jeez.
Spidey took Felicia to the hospital in time to save her life and realized that he had begun falling in love with her. After her recovery, the two started a romantic relationship, with Spider-Man even revealing his secret identity as Peter Parker to Felicia. She rejected his civilian life, however, seeing their true identities as costume adventurers. Dejected, Spider-Man continued seeing Felicia mainly due to the convenience that he had nothing to hide from her now. When Spider-Man was transported from Earth by the Beyonder during the Secret Wars event, which you can learn more about in our Blue Beetle vs. Spider-Man Duel episode, Felicia sought out a way to compensate for his disappearance. She tried to join the Avengers and Fantastic Four, but they rejected her. She then attempted to gain superpowers the same way Spider-Man's villain the Scorpion had, that is, through an animal mutagenic experiment overseen by the crime lord, the Kingpin. She gained bad luck powers, but shamefully kept them a secret from Spider-Man on his return to Earth. This ability to cause misfortune on others started negatively influencing Spider-Man's life in a string of bad luck. He sensed Felicia kept secrets from him, so he ended their relationship right before she was about to break up with him to protect him from her new powers. Spider-Man visited Doctor Strange to remove the source of the supposed curse placed on him, and the magic process indirectly rendered Felicia's powers inert. Feeling guilty, yet liberated, Felicia began a Robin Hood-style campaign of stealing from the rich to give to the poor, and later moved to Paris to start a new life. When she returned, she learned that Peter had married Mary Jane Watson. Full of jealous rage, she harassed the couple, even confronting Mary Jane with her and Spider-Man's past, threatening to ruin their marriage. Through time and seeing Spider-Man and Mary Jane's love for each other, Felicia eventually moved on and later became friends with both. She later went to the villain, the Tinkerer, to restore her former powers and opened up a private investigation firm. She also began dating an assassin named Puma. During the Superhuman Civil War, in which the US government ordered masked heroes to register as costumed crime fighters, Spider-Man revealed his identity as Peter Parker to the public. This enraged Felicia, who thought she and Spider-Man shared a special bond through her knowledge of his secret. She joined the Heroes for Hire team, who was assigned to track and apprehend unregistered superheroes. When the demon Mephisto erased the worlds, including Felicia's memories of Spider-Man's secret identity in exchange for Peter's and Mary Jane's marriage, Felicia and Spidey briefly revisited their romance. This time, though, they never removed their masks, and they teamed up against the villain, Mr. Negative. Deciding she was tired of the costume adventurer life, Felicia began stealing to save for her retirement. Spider-Man caught her in the act of stealing, but this version of Spider-Man had the mind of Dr. Octopus, known as the Superior Spider-Man, which you can learn more about in our Mr. Freeze vs. Dr. Octopus episode. So when Felicia attempted to flirt with the Superior Spider-Man, he beat her up and left her for the authorities, who subsequently apprehended all of her stolen possessions. Not knowing it wasn't actually Peter Parker behind the mask, Felicia swore vengeance on Spider-Man. Not knowing it wasn't the same Spider-Man behind the mask that she knew, Felicia swore vengeance on him. Felicia formed a crew of superpowered bad guys and became a significant player in the New York criminal underworld. She went to war with other crime bosses, including Diamondback and the Kingpin, the latter of whom set her up to be arrested and put in Rikers. Daredevil, the deputy mayor of New York at the time, arranged for Felicia to be released to help fight against the Hand Ninja Clan. She also assisted Daredevil's Defenders team in taking down her former rival Diamondback. When Felicia later teamed up with Spider-Man, this time Peter Parker again, against a clone of Venom, she considered the feud with him over after he saved her life. Teaming up with Spider-Man again, Felicia infiltrated the Thieves Guild to stop their plot of stealing from the superhero community, and claim some of the items for herself. She had a heart-to-heart talk with Spider-Man at the time, admitting that not remembering his secret identity and all the memories regarding his alter ego had a significant emotional impact on her due to her love for him. Spider-Man unmasked and revealed his secret identity to her once again. The Thieves Guild later retaliated by kidnapping Felicia's former mentor, the Black Fox, and blowing up Felicia's crew's hideout. Felicia rescued Black Fox and attacked the Thieves Guild by breaking into Stark Industries and using its Nano Forge to build a cat-themed suit of armor that could take on the Thieves Guild, an organization you can learn more about in our Captain Boomerang vs. Gambit Duel episode. Iron Man subsequently destroyed the armor. In recent events, Felicia and her crew helped Doctor Strange fight against the eldritch god of darkness, Null, the creator of the symbiotes. And that's her history. Powers-wise, Black Cat can adversely affect the fortunes of those around her through a bad luck aura. Though she can't consciously control it, she can count on the aura to give her the necessary edge in combat through its random effects. The bad luck aura also provides her some protection against magic spells. Black Cat's gloves have sharp, retractable claws on the fingertips and grappling hook devices in the fur lining. She's an Olympic-level athlete and gymnast and an expert in several forms of martial arts, including judo and karate. Finally, she's a master thief, near incomparable inner stealth, sleight of hand, escapology, and lockpicking. Also, she wears contact lenses that let her see in the dark.
For some reason, I'm getting like Harley Quinn versus Domino vibes from this match. I don't like this whole bad luck thing. It's bullshit.
Well, her powers differ from Domino's in that they're actually subconscious telekinesis, whereas Black Cat is like just bad luck. Kind of almost in the mystical sense in that it also protects her from certain magical spells and things like that.
Okay, well, now that we've gotten their histories and abilities out of the way, let's speculate on how one of the 1,000 simulated matches will go. The winner is determined by simulations, not this speculation, but it's fun to imagine how this fight could play out.
We don't set any rules for this match other than the characters don't know anything about each other going in, except that the other character is a threat that needs to be put down. And we say they start off about 50 meters apart in an environment that has no bearing on the match itself, because we don't take stats for the environment.
Plus, certain characters have advantages in some environments over others, and we want these characters to win on their own merit. So let's get into it. The characters meet on the battlefield. Who goes first? I'm gonna say Batwoman would actually go first. It's sort of her military style. She likes to hit hard and fast.
Okay.
So she'll start off by just throwing a volley of these small sharp batarangs she calls thorns.
Thorns?
Yeah.
Do they have wings on them like batarangs?
It's kind of like two scalloped wings that sort of like unfold and stab you.
Okay. Well, Black Cat is going to run and kind of like limbo slide underneath this volley of batarangs. And then she's going to stand up and she's going to fire her grapple hook right at Batwoman and ensnare her in her grapple line.
It like claws her foot or something?
No, it wraps around her.
Oh, like Ebola.
Yeah. And then Black Cat's going to yank the cable, pulling Batwoman to the ground, all wrapped up.
Okay. On the ground, Batwoman, she's going to grab onto the cable that's ensnaring her, and she's just going to electrify it with her taser glove, just sending the shockwave through the cable and shocking Black Cat. After which, Batwoman, she's a master escape artist, she's just going to get out of that snare.
All right, I forgot about the taser gloves. So Black Cat is going to be electrocuted, her hair is going to be standing on end. But luckily, the electricity didn't do any bad nerve damage. So Black Cat's just going to pounce on Batwoman as Batwoman gets out of her grapple line snare. And Black Cat's just going to slash her.
Well, she's pretty heavily armored, though. Her armor is actually better than Batman's.
Really?
Yeah.
But Black Cat's claws can go through metal, so these claws are going to go through that. Just slashing Batwoman like right across the chest.
Okay, that's gonna hurt, but Batwoman knows how to deal with pain. She's gonna react immediately. She's just gonna spin around, and her cape, which is like sharp at the ends with the scallops, she's gonna spin that around and just slash one of Black Cat's legs with her cape, and just follow that up with like a powerful roundhouse kick.
But Black Cat knows judo, so like Black Cat is gonna catch Batwoman's leg midair and just use that momentum to judo throw Batwoman to the ground.
But Batwoman knows judo. And she'll just like tuck and roll as she hits the ground, and she'll just like leave a smoke trail from a gas pellet, covering the whole area in like this dense haze.
Batwoman is not going to out-stealth Black Cat. So like, sure, Batwoman's gonna create this like smoke screen or whatever, and she's gonna start scanning the area with her thermal lenses, but she's not gonna find Black Cat there. Black Cat just like disappeared.
What, does her suit prevent thermal goggle reading?
No, she's just out of sight. In fact, she is actually directly above Batwoman, balancing on this tightrope she created with her grapple line, all stealthy ninja cat-like. And then she's gonna drop from this tightrope onto Batwoman's shoulders and just scratch the shit out of her face.
Okay, well, Batwoman's just gonna reach into her utility belt and quickly pull out a demolition charge that she just slaps right on Black Cat's ass. and then she's just gonna yank her to the ground by her hair. And then she uses her grapple gun to like grapple away, and as she does that, she detonates the explosive, just blowing Black Cat up.
Except, this explosive charge is going to fail to explode due to some faulty wiring and some bad luck.
That's dumb.
And Batwoman's gonna be like, what the heck? She's gonna be all confused.
Okay, so then she's just gonna glide back through the air toward Black Cat and just dive bomb her, hands first, and just blast her with fire from her gloves as she plows into her.
So she air tackles Black Cat and sets her on fire simultaneously.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so Black Cat is like being set on fire, but then suddenly, for some reason, one of Batwoman's cryo bombs accidentally discharges during this assault, and it's gonna freeze some of the area around them, lowering the temperature and putting out the flames around Black Cat.
You don't know what gadgets Batwoman has on her utility belt.
Does she not have a cryo bomb? That's what I thought. You know she does. So Black Cat's not burned or anything, and she reacts by slashing right at Batwoman's cape, tearing right through it and rendering it incapable of gliding again.
Batwoman doesn't need her cape to take out Black Cat. Now when she has Calle sticks, which she's going to use to just blitz Black Cat, just hitting her repeatedly in the head until she knocks her unconscious. Yeah, that's her style.
It's pretty violent.
Yeah. Batwoman's not going to do some weak-ass move like slashing a cape. she's going to go for the concussion.
All right, so Black Cat is like concussed and unconscious, and Batwoman is going to go in for the killing blow, but guess what? She slips on the ice created from the cryo bomb that went off before.
What?
And she lands on her head and she knocks herself unconscious. So they're both unconscious. They're just both like lying on the ground, and they're gonna like wake up in a daze like next to each other and wonder like what the hell just happened.
Okay, so Batwoman, she's just gonna quickly like somersault over and handcuff Black Cat before she could get to her feet, all right? And then she's just going to inject her with a syringe containing fear toxin to subdue her.
Fear toxin.
Yeah, from Scarecrow.
She has that?
Sometimes.
That's messed up.
Yeah, she's been known to use like villains' equipment against them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, too bad for you. As soon as those handcuffs went on Black Cat had already picked him and it was like loose. So when Batwoman's trying to stab her with this syringe, Black Cat's able to knock the syringe out of her hand, and it goes flying into the air and then lands right into Batwoman's thigh, dosing her with the fear toxin instead.
All right.
Batwoman's tripping right now.
Okay, she probably sees Black Cat as some like huge demonic eggplant or something like that. I don't know. So she's just gonna draw like this high-tech, state-of-the-art pocket pistol from her boot, and she's just gonna shoot that eggplant right in the head.
That's too much. This pocket pistol that Batwoman shoots, it's gonna jam because little did she know there was already a bullet jammed in the chamber of this gun.
What?
So the gun is just gonna explode in Batwoman's hand, and it's gonna send gunmetal shrapnel all over the place, specifically Batwoman's head, killing her instead of Black Cat / Eggplant Monster.
That is way too convenient.
Like, inconvenient or just unlucky?
Bad luck powers are super dumb. That gunshot went off in Black Cat's face. That's how this ends.
Agree to disagree. We'll go ahead and find out which scenario happens. Either Batwoman gets her shot off or her gun explodes. We'll plug in the stats and run the simulations and let you guys know. Be right back. I have to admit, Batwoman, I didn't know too much about the character, but she's definitely cooler than I thought she would be. She's like a cool mix in between Batman, but has better armor and gadgets, and Batwing, although more lethal than either of them.
Yeah, Batwoman does not fuck around. She will do what she needs and use what she needs to take you down.
And Black Cat will stand by as she trips over her own feet. We plugged in the stats for these ladies. Pretty comparable in some areas, but definitely different in about half of the stats that we input figures for.
Yeah, when it came to Black Cat's bad luck powers, we accounted for that in evasiveness and versatility.
Right.
She definitely outshined Batwoman in those stat categories, which was surprising because Batwoman is super versatile.
Yeah, she was definitely no slouch in that department, having a ton of different gadgets to suit her needs. But just the nature of bad luck powers is so adaptable in itself. Where Batwoman outclassed Black Cat was in durability with Batwoman's like bulletproof armor, and definitely range because Batwoman employs a lot of projectile weaponry. Whereas Black Cat, she can scratch you and she can shoot her grapple line at you. She's not too impressive offensively. She's more of a defensive kind of character.
We also said that Batwoman, due to her gadgetry, had a higher damage potential. So taking all of these stats into consideration, who do you think is going to come out on top?
I think Batwoman outshines Black Cat in quite a few stat categories, but not by as much as Black Cat outshines Batwoman in a few specific ones, specifically evasiveness. So I'm going to say that Black Cat is going to take this.
Oh yeah? By how much do you think?
Not by much, maybe by less than 25 or 50 matches or so. Polling results show that 59% of our Instagram followers think that Batwoman will win.
So you disagree with them?
Yes.
Fool! The fool!
Am I, though?
Well, let me tell you, I have the results right here. The winner of the matchup between Batwoman and Black Cat is Batwoman. Yeah, that's right. With a win rate of 59.2%.
That's like almost right on the damn money of how many Instagram followers thought she would win.
That is why you are a fool.
Holy crap. Holy shit.
Batwoman won 592 of the 1,000 matches, and Black Cat only won 408.
Okay, not that close, but I'm starting to think that our Instagram followers are psychic now. Or they just have good luck.
Good luck powers. Yay!
Yay. Honestly, good luck powers are the best powers to have, I think. But kudos to Batwoman. I read a recent report this past week that DC said that Batman doesn't go down on Catwoman.
Oh my gosh, why is everyone still talking about this?
But we definitely know that at least Batwoman does.
They both do? All right. I think that does it for this Duel episode. Let us know what you guys thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find links to all of our accounts by checking out our show notes or visiting our website, dynamicduel.com.
And also on our site, you can find a link to our Patreon page where, again, we offer you guys bonus content or bonus content and pin sets, or bonus content, pin sets, and executive producer status of this show, depending on which tier you choose. Guys, our goal is to get to 100 patrons by the time the Black Widow movie comes out. If we don't make that goal, then this show will become a paid show. So be a hero, help stop that from happening. Join us on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. Right now, we still haven't passed 50 patrons, although we are close. Once we hit the number 50, Jonathan and I will produce a bonus episode of this podcast every month. And that's exclusive to our patrons. So guys, we just need 6 of you to get on there, sign up.
Again, it's just $2 a month minimum. In our next episode, as we mentioned earlier, we will be reviewing the animated DC film Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1.
Yeah, and again, Jonathan will be recording that from San Francisco, so his audio may be a little bit different on this next episode, but we'll try to keep it as consistent as we can. And that does it for this show. We want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, Ken Johnson, Jace Crump, John Starosky, John Speas, Zachary Hepburn, John Bechinina, and Stephen Lovato for helping make this podcast possible. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Up, and away.
True believers.